It's showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
Good morning, Andy.
A fine Saturday morning, too. You haven't gotten a dose of that yet, have you?
Why is it still funny? That is a joke that, by all rights, should be played.
It should be.
It tickles me every week.
It's past that point where it's not funny to the point where it's funny again. We'll see how long that lasts.
That's right. How's your movie world?
It's been slow. It was spring break here, so we had a road trip and to go visit my mom, and so we didn't get a chance to see a lot of stuff. Although while we were at the hotel, I did get to watch The Meg, so I did catch up on that one.
That's the stuff, Andy. I mean, if you're gonna sit down, and watch a classic, a modern classic,
that's right.
What'd you think?
It's the perfect late night hotel fodder. Like, that is exactly what The Meg is for. And I probably added to my enjoyment because there are certain movies that, like, when you're staying in a different bed and you're watching TV late at night because you can't sleep, The Meg is exactly that sort of film that you need to put on because
Totally.
it's exactly what it needed to be. It's kind of dumb. It's over the top and ridiculous, but it was still fun, and it's still, like, I couldn't fall asleep. It was still entertaining. I enjoyed it.
I totally agree, and I love the final, like, the beach sequence. It just delights me because of all of the beautiful cinematic, like, nods to Jaws,
right,
that are done in such an it's just one after another, from shot angles to rack focus to, like,
dog names,
like dog names, right. I think they had a delightful time with that movie, and I do wish, that Jason Statham had said when that movie came out, he said, "This was not the movie that I signed on for. Like, what I signed on for was a bloody, gory kind of horror thriller of a monster movie, and this is a little bit anodyne by comparison to what he was sold." So I kind of wish that we'd gotten the director's cut, let's say, of this, the extreme edition.
Maybe the actor's cut, because it sounds like the director didn't want to go down that road.
The directors, didn't want to go that way. But I still had a really good time with this ridiculous movie.
Yeah,
so,
it was fun.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, but that's it. Other than playing catch up on all the A Star Is Borns, I haven't had a chance to watch anything. So
I'm right there with you. I just finished the 1976 again yesterday. We're talking about that this coming week.
Indeed,
very exciting.
Indeed, yes, indeed.
I haven't watched 2018 yet. I wanted to try and get both of those done this weekend, but I don't know that I'll do it.
But you saw that one, right?
The 76 I had, but now that we're into the music...
Did you see the 2018 version?
Yes.
Okay, I couldn't remember.
Yeah. But now that we've watched the other three, I'm finding they're all blending together at this point.
Really? That's so funny. I find them all so vastly different that that's not happening in my head. Like, there's they all take such an interesting different spin on their own time that I think it's kind of interesting. So
I think it's remarkable that you were able to do that. For me, like, the scene where he says, "Hey, wait a minute, I just want to get another look at you." Like, in my head, it cuts between black and white and color now. Like, it's just ridiculous.
Just funny 'cause there was no black and white version.
I know. What is wrong with that? Like, it's the I'm seeing Judy Garland turning around. I'm seeing it's not. Anyway,
well, yeah, that would be a fun thing to do. That'd be a great YouTube mashup, is to take scenes from all these different A Star Is Borns and cut between them, and show Frederick March saying that line and Judy Garland turning around and
it's actually Frederick March, like, racing his little Ferrari down a highway or a country road.
Right.
Yeah. So Star Is Born. Yes, we'll be talking about that this week. And I have not seen anything either. I think the last thing I saw in the theater was Captain Marvel. So
yeah, we were hoping to get out while we were visiting my mom. We were going to try getting out to see that Apollo 11 documentary, which looked really interesting, but
right,
we had a lot of other things going on, and it was one of those ones where I'm like, I think the adults were all interested, but I was like, I don't know if the kids are going to make it through, and we ended up just doing some other things anyway. So it's all good. It was all good, but yeah, slow on movies. Hopefully, we'll do some more catch up this week, and if I get time this weekend, we're hoping to take the kids to Dumbo. So we'll see.
I hear Dumbo's dark.
Oh, mom gets taken away. There's the whole crying scene. It's a there's a lot of darkness even in the animated one. I mean, it's largely remembered for all the lightness and everything, but I mean, he gets drunk and has like this crazy nightmare. I mean, there's some stuff in there.
Oh,
the clowns are freaky. I mean, clowns. Clowns, man.
I know. But tell me about it. I don't like clowns. There's a scene where Dumbo trunk strangles a clown in this one. It's weird. We'll see how that plays with the kids. That
sounds like everyone should love it then.
I got a little bit of follow-up. Last week, Steve and I talked about the Apple TV or the Apple announcement that was coming last Monday, and that has come. Have you seen anything about this?
No.
This is it was essentially upfronts for Apple's new Apple TV Plus service, and they paraded the names, and Apple produces good events, really, and they're little videos that you can see on their YouTube channel of announcing all of these properties, their sizzle reel. Announcing the service. So the service opens and it's Steven Spielberg's voice. And he says, "You want to hear how to open this thing?" "Oh, sure." Black screen. And then you see a dot of light and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then it opens to close up of whoever's talking. And it's him talking and they're doing that. And it's Steven Spielberg. And you're like, what is he doing here? That's their little entry video to what they're trying to accomplish with Apple TV. And then they do this parade of story, which is how important story is and everything's fantastic. Cut to black, opens up, and back on stage. And there's Spielberg. He's standing on stage, and he's talking about bringing back amazing stories that he is going to be doing for the network. So he was first. Then Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon come out and talk about the morning show. And a little bit after they start talking, Steve Carell bumbles on stage. And so we have, we're parading big names on this tech conference stage, followed by Jason Momoa and Alfre Woodard to talk about C. And C is supposedly the most expensive production to date, more expensive to produce per episode than Game of Thrones. And it is about a world that is it's post-apocalyptic. It takes place generations and generations after humanity has lost the ability to see. And it's so far after we've lost that ability that it is mere rumor that we were able to see ever in the past. Like, people actually disagree with the fact that humans were ever able to see, ever had an extra sense. Very interesting. Kumail Nanjiani and Emily Gordon got up and talked about Little America, which is an anthology series that they're doing about immigrants in America. It looks just fascinating. J.J. Abrams and Sarah Bareilles got up to talk about Little Voices, which is I think it's about a musician who has a heart of gold. We'll see. And then finally, Oprah Winfrey came out and talked about some documentary projects that she's working on, along with Oprah's Global Apple Book Club. And she had the now meme-worthy line, "Why am I doing this? 1 billion phones in your pockets, y'all." And so that was it. It was a massive star parade on Monday, and it looks like the service will be available in May at some point. They do say here that Apple is already in the business of feature films. They're ready to venture into the world of feature films. They're in the business with A24, Andy.
Huzzah!
Yeah, so nothing was said about that, but the reporters picked it up in the event afterward. So we'll see what happens. It looks really, really quite similar to CBS All Access and Netflix Studios, and so we'll see. They've put a ton of money into it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, very exciting.
That's That's the news.
You know what that reminded me of as you were saying that? I started showing Amazing Stories, the old episodes, to my kids this past week. It's very fun.
Excellent.
Very fun to watch.
How'd it go?
Good. They enjoy them. They're fun. You know, they're fun. There's a little bit of kind of some creepiness. I mean, there are some scarier episodes, but for the most part, we're just trying to go through the main ones and having a really good time. It's a lot of fun revisiting those old shows. They only ever released season 1. Season 2 never got a release. I'm hoping now with that announcement that they might finally put it out there, because there are some other good episodes in that season.
It'll be interesting. These anthology stories, I think there is some debate around the success of anthology stories. But now we have Jordan Peele behind, a reboot of Twilight
but that's
Zone.
not getting good reviews.
I know. And so, especially after, kind of middling reviews of Us.
Middling reviews.
Well, I haven't seen it yet, but everything I'm reading is that film has been woefully poorly marketed. That once again, the trailer was, this promised to be this thriller horror fest, and when you see the film, it is much more sort of reserved than that. That it's not as clear on its messaging, that it's as Get Out was.
It's still 94% on Rotten Tomatoes and 81 on Metacritic. So I think
the audience? What's the audience review on Rotten Tomatoes right now?
71.
It's good. That's still good, but it's a C-.
Yeah, but people are idiots.
Well, people are, but these are people that I actually in my circle, right? Friends of the show who have seen the movie and are saying it's not what I don't know if I like it or not. Like, sure. Really straight down the road. Like, this is not Get Out, and it's not as scary as Get Out. You should see it and try to figure it out, because it's not the movie you think it is.
Right.
Have you seen it? You haven't seen it yet.
No, I haven't. I've been busy doing all these other things. I was trying to convince my mom that she wanted to see it, and I couldn't quite make that happen. My wife doesn't want to see it, so I think it's going to have to be me some late night after the kids are in bed. I'll have to sneak out and watch it alone. Yeah, but hopefully this coming week, because I'm really, really wanting to see it while there still isn't like a crowd in the theater, because I hear that's a great way to see it.
Yeah, truly. And I loved Get Out so much. I want this to be just fantastic. Yeah. And so I'll stop talking to people.
I know that, for those who have seen it, Steve has started a conversation up in our spoilers channel over in Discord. Mm-hmm. So for those who have seen it and want to jump in and chat, there's an ongoing conversation in there.
Let's see. Should we talk about a little Marvel news?
Yeah, I didn't find a whole lot this week, but what I did find is that the new ride at Hong Kong Disneyland opens tomorrow. It's the Ant-Man and the Wasp Nano Battle, which
that's awesome.
I think is going to be kind of fun.
Hope you make it back from the Quantum Zone, kids.
That's right. This is the description of it. It's the story begins, I guess they had already done a ride called the Iron Man Experience, which I should know about considering we're doing this Marvel show, but I haven't heard of the Iron Man Experience out at Hong Kong Disneyland. But this one, Tony Stark, a.k.a. Iron Man, sets up a pavilion for visitors to learn about new Stark Industries that he's developing to keep the world safe. However, Hydra has launched a two-pronged attack targeting both Stark Tower in Kowloon and the SHIELD Science and Technology Pavilion. While Iron Man is fighting Hydra at Stark Tower, he calls upon Ant-Man and the Wasp to help protect the pavilion against thousands of swarm bots under the command of Arnim Zola, bent on stealing the pavilion's data core. And it has Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly both reprising their roles to be a part of it and help the guests fight this battle through this, as they say, the immersive experience. So
awesome.
Plus, it features the Marvel's first Hong Kong-specific character, Leslie Lam, who's the chief engineer of the SHIELD Science and Technology Pavilion. So, yeah, I'm going to have to make it over there one of these days just to ride that ride.
Speaking of China, it looks like they got Endgame and is going to be released a couple of days early in China, 2 days before it's released everywhere else.
Nice.
And
are you flying over to see it over there?
Well, I was looking at tickets, Andy. It's not cheap, and I'm not sure I want to stand in lines over there. It's very complicated logistically, but this is what I thought was interesting, that some local analysts in the Chinese bookmaking, Hollywood bookmaking business are saying that Endgame could be Hollywood's first film to generate more than $500 million in ticket sales. 3 Chinese films have hit that milestone: Wolf Warrior 2, The Wandering Earth, and Operation Red Sea. I have seen none of the 3, but nothing from Hollywood has cracked the $400 million mark in ticket sales.
Wandering Earth is a very recent movie. It just came out. That's the one that Nick Langdon had been talking about and checked out.
Right.
And yeah. It sounds like it would be an interesting. That sounds like the perfect hotel late night fodder.
Totally. I'm telling you, Andy, with these posters that came out, Avenge the Fallen, like all of the press that I am reading have headlines and subheads like this: the Marvel franchise ender, when referring to Endgame. Andy, I'm telling you, this could be the end of our. I just want to. Just reinforcing that we have an end.
There's an out
date, an out.
22 years
for the Marvel
in the
movie
making.
22 years. At least there's an end. So, just saying. Angelina Jolie was signed to the Eternals. Have you been reading any of the Eternals?
No, I haven't. No, I feel like there's a lot of things I'm going to have to start reading now.
Totally. Apparently, it's just bananas, and who knows what that means. But she seems like an interesting ad. So much for fresh faces,
right? Yeah. No, but you know what? It's fine. I still think that it'll make for an interesting thing to look at. You know, especially with. Yeah. I think it's interesting the things that they're starting to announce that they're kind of unfolding. Things like the Eternals. I think, a couple of weeks ago, they talked about the I can't remember the Asian character that they're going to be releasing into the universe, Shang-Chi. And so they're slowly starting to put just a wider variety of things out. So I'm excited to see where they're going to go after number 22.
Me too. And I do love the new posters. I think the new portrait artwork for Avenge the Fallen, even though it's been completely co-opted by memes on the internet.
Well, yeah.
I think it's really good.
And a lot of people are, I don't know why, but they get up in arms about these things because now they're saying, well, there's so many spoilers in the posters as far as who made it and who didn't. I'm like, seriously. Inevitably, I
don't get it.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you want
to
trailers?
Trailer up?
Let's trailer up. You should be fine with this. My trailer it's an adaptation. Let me just say this for you, Pete. It's an adaptation of a series of children's horror books. Pete, children's horror books.
They make it scary, man. They make it scary.
They do.
This is exactly the kind of horror that I don't like.
What, children's horror?
Children's horror.
Clowns, yes. Children, no. No, this is the adaptation of Alvin Schwartz's. He did a series of 3 horror books in the 80s and 90s. Scary stories to tell in the dark. Speaking of anthologies, he wrote a series of anthology stories for kids that had a little scare, kind of before. What was the other one that was the kid? Goosebumps, kind of like setting the stage for those sorts of tales. Now we have Andre Ovredal's adaptation of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, produced by Guillermo del Toro. So it's interesting to see what they're doing here. And we've talked about Andre Ovredal before, who did Troll Hunter, which we quite enjoyed.
We did.
And I believe, I don't know, actually, I think that he's involved in the Troll Hunter kids show, the animated show on Netflix. I think that he's producing and writing that Guillermo del Toro has also been involved with. And now the two of them, along with a script written by Dan and Kevin Hageman, they are doing a film that my understanding is it's adapting 3 of the stories from the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, the short stories. And I just love the look. It looks so creepy. You're right. It doesn't necessarily look like something that I want to take my kids to, because it looks maybe a little too scary for them, which is funny that it's coming from these kids' books. But I don't know. I think that it has this great vibe. I think that creepy lady in the hallway that just, I don't even know what to say about it. Just is so scary.
Oh, the girl in the bathroom, Andy, come on.
No, there's a lot of really scary stuff going on here.
With the leg coming out of her face.
Yeah.
Oh, Andy,
it's good stuff
really?
Here, yeah.
Like, this is what Del Toro, he wakes up in the morning, he's like, 8 a.m. Sunday morning, I'm going to go mess some kids up.
Right.
Right. That's what this is all about. We're going to try and mess up kids and a parent or two.
Yeah.
I knew that you would fall in love with this. I saw that. I didn't even have to watch the trailer. I just saw the little stupid scarecrow face in the thumbnail, and I was like, "Oh, that's Andy bait."
It totally was. The little tag says, it's 1968 in America. Change is blowing in the wind, but seemingly far removed from the unrest in the cities is the small town of Mill Valley, where for generations, the shadow of the Bellows family has loomed large. It is in their mansion on the edge of town that Sarah, a young girl with horrible secrets, turned her tortured life into a series of scary stories written in a book that has transcended time. Stories that have a way of becoming all too real for a group of teenagers who discover Sarah's terrifying tome. Oh, yes. I'm all over this.
The book reads you, Andy. The book reads you. I wonder if Mill Valley is close at all to Hill Valley.
There's a happy side of the hill and a really scary side of the hill.
Don't take the book to Hill Valley.
Right. That's my trailer. It looks like it's going to be coming out August 9th, 2019. So it'll be a fun horror summer movie.
Well, mine is more of a spring movie that is, it's old men talking in accents. What's wrong with that? Nothing. It's The Professor and the Madman. Look at this. It's Mel Gibson's new movie. And I don't think he has. I've heard no reported racial rants from the production of this film. Not a single one. I think it might be safe to see this movie. Natalie Dormer, Mel Gibson, the fantastic Sean Penn. This is the story of the first edition of the Oxford Dictionary. It is based on apparently a true story. The professor in 1857 who began compiling the dictionary and led to overseeing the committee, and the doctor who submitted over 10,000 entries while he was undergoing treatment at an asylum for the criminally insane. The original book was called The Surgeon of Crowthorne, by Simon Winchester, back from 1998. I think the cast looks fantastic. They have done what hopefully, the girl with the dragon tattoo did to sex up research. The Professor and the Madman sex up writing dictionary entries. I feel like this could be a really interesting film. It gives certainly Sean Penn a chance to brood in leg irons. You can't really go wrong with that. I like the look of the film. I love the time and the context, and I'm actually really interested in this story. So here's hoping this gets a nice wide release. What'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, this is a property that's been bouncing around forever. I actually read this book when it came out, and I quite enjoyed it. It was retitled, actually, when it was released in the U.S., not The Surgeon of Crowthorne, but it was retitled The Professor and the Madman. So it, I guess, people here didn't know enough about that information, so they just made it a little more of a movie title. And hey, it got me hooked, so I guess it worked. But Mel Gibson, I mean, he was trying to produce this right away when it came out. He had John Boorman on, who wrote a script and was going to direct it. Then Luc Besson came on, and then it's just been kind of lingering, and I think he's been buried in other things. And then finally they got it made, and they and here we are. You know, I'm very curious to see what they're going to do with this. And I don't know. I've always been really curious in this story. I think it looks like they're doing a good job with it. So, I count me in, you know, and I think Mel Gibson and Sean Penn, too, really interesting actors who have had their own issues outside of, the films that they're in. It's an interesting pairing, and I'm really curious. So, I'm definitely in on this one.
I'm glad to hear it, especially as you've read the book. I never did, but it is also reinforcing here that it's out of a few hundred ratings so far over on IMDb. We get 7.8 out of 10 on the IMDb 6-star rule. So
good start.
Cruising over the 6-star hurdle.
Yeah, definitely.
Very promising. All right, comes out May 10th. May 10th. That's just coming up, Andy.
That's really soon. We can watch it on our...
That may be the next thing that you're going to see. If you don't hurry.
That might be the thing that bumps Endgame out of the top slot. Only time will tell. Only time will tell.
Excellent. All right. Well, let's do the list.
Let's do it. This should be fun.
We're talking about the Meet Cute.
Yeah, we did this week on the show. We did the 1954 A Star Is Born, and there's a great Meet Cute right at the beginning with Judy Garland and James Mason as he stumbles onto stage drunk, and she has to incorporate him into her dance routine and kind of get him off the stage. Worked really nicely. We had a few other options, but the Meet Cute got most of the votes. So that's what we're talking about today. Would you like to kick it off?
I would, I guess. This is hard.
Really?
Because no, it wasn't hard because I couldn't find any. It was hard because it made me have to think, what is it that I love about Meet Cutes, right? Because I'm a sap. I am a sap. And so, like, throw the low-hanging fruit at me and I'll be biting my lip. It was just last night. We're watching, the family is going through Glee. We're going through the show Glee on the Netflix because the kids have never seen it. And we really enjoyed the first few seasons. We're in the dark place with Glee right now, season 6, and they just had a double gay wedding on this show, and the premise was ridiculous. And true to form, we take on our family roles. My kids are eye rolling at all the romance. My wife is weeping next to me, and I am biting my lip to prevent myself from weeping next to me. It's just how we go, right? That's just what happens. And it's so stupid. So here I am attempting to go for the Meet Cute, trying to figure out what is it that I really like about the Meet Cute beyond the sappy stuff. So I think I do have some sap. I definitely have some sap, but these three are three that I'm really happy with. So don't steal them. You've been warned. The first one is actually a movie we've talked about for other reasons on the show before, and that is Moonstruck. It's Moonstruck. I think Cher and Nicolas Cage are fantastic. The whole premise of this story is great, that she has to go tell her estranged future brother-in-law about her upcoming nuptials, and then they fall in love, and it's a very strange thing. Nicolas Cage is at his very weird best in this movie. I think he's just fantastic, and their initial meeting is quirky and odd, and then they get in bed together. And John Patrick Shanley is, as you know, we're fans, and Norman Jewison is a fantastic director. So I start with the Meet Cute and Moonstruck, and I couldn't actually find the specific sequence to share on YouTube, but I'm still digging because it's a great one.
And I bet you can at least play the scene where she's slapping him. The double
right.
slap. I love that movie so much. I am absolutely thrilled that you included it on your list and that it's not a steal for my list. So.
Oh, good.
So,
well, and it's one of those funny, but because it's kind of weird, it's left off of a lot of lists. Like it's usually in top 10 lists, right? When you're looking for great movies to watch, romantic movies, it's like number 11. You know what I mean? It's an also ran. And so I wanted to start with it because I think it's super charming, and it's 1987. It's a movie that I think a lot of people haven't seen these days. So yeah, it's worth it.
Very much so. I'm going for my first one that I suppose you would say is incredibly obvious because it is exactly what it's the sort of film that meet cutes, especially modern meet cutes, are really kind of designed with, and it's a big part of it, and it's a romantic comedy, so obviously it ties into the film because of that. But it's a film that I really, really do love in the world of romantic comedies and what they bring to the table. And it's a movie about a big movie star and a bookstore owner, and the way that they end up meeting and kind of the relationship that forms. It is, of course, Roger Mitchell's Notting Hill from 1999. I think this movie is just adorable. And in the world of the Hugh Grant romantic comedies and in the world of Julia Roberts and romantic comedies, seeing these two come together in this script written by Richard Curtis, it worked so well for me. And it's one of those ones that I feel like it shouldn't have, because it just looked like such the typical romantic comedy, but it still works. And I love just kind of all of it. I mean, and I think their meet cute is really adorable. You know, first she comes into his bookstore because she's just looking for stuff, and he recognizes her. He's nervous. He talks too much. She's kind of annoyed. She's just trying to remain anonymous, and then she leaves. But then later, and this is a typical meet cute, this is like one of the tropes, he accidentally bumps into her. He's carrying orange juice, and it gets all over her. It gets all over him, and he offers to have her come to his apartment, which is they're right in front of, just so that she can change. And it just kind of blossoms from there. I love it. I'm not ashamed to admit it. That's my first choice, Notting Hill.
I applaud you for pulling this one. First of all, we have to have Richard Curtis represented. We have to have Hugh Grant represented, and we have to have both of those things so forcefully represented that I had to pick one too, and that is my second pick. Now, the movie itself is kind of a classic now in terms of romantic stories. It's kind of an anthology story, sort of. It really tells the story of a bunch of different stories of love. That is love, actually. But the meet cute that I want to talk about is one that is just laced with filthy, filthy language, and I find it adorable. It is the story of David and Natalie. David has recently been elected the Prime Minister of the country. Yes, it's Hugh Grant, and he can run my country any day, Andy, any day. And he goes in to meet the staff, and Martine McCutcheon plays a new employee on the household service staff, and they meet, and she proceeds to just swear at him, and I find that so awkward and so charming and so just sort of naturally lovable that's their story is my favorite by far in the entirety of Love Actually. And I think the meeting with President Billy Bob Thornton is just awesome. It's just awesome in terms of the romance and the weirdness and the love, actually.
It's funny. It's never been one of my favorites either. I know people love that movie.
Yeah.
I've watched it several times, and I'm always trying to go, okay, maybe this is the time. And I haven't quite hit it, but my wife keeps telling me, just watch it again, give it another chance. I'm like, all right, I'll try one of these days, but I don't want to do it yet.
By all rights, Andy, we should love it. I mean, Colin Firth and Alan Rickman and Emma Thompson. I mean, the cast is amazing. Kira and Chewie.
Yeah,
they're both. I mean, it's amazing as a cast. But I'm with you. Like as I watch it, the story that really stands out to me is the Prime Minister story, and everything else is it pushes me a little bit.
Yeah.
So
no, I hear that. I hear that, man.
Yeah. All right, what's your number 2?
I'm really torn on what to do for my number 2. I have my list is way too long, but I think I'm going to go with this one because I don't feel like we've thrown it on any of our lists, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think this has been represented before, and it should be if it hasn't. And if it has, then it's okay for me to represent it again because it's such a great movie. It is, of course, the brilliant, brilliant film Singing in the Rain. I love this movie, and the meet cute, of course, is the wonderful Gene Kelly and Debbie Reynolds when he's trying to get away from his crazy fans, and he jumps into this convertible that happens to be passing by with Kathy, and she proceeds to tell him that he's a talentless hack. And all of this fantastic just stuff. She just totally, yes, she helps him get away, but she's just like, shows no interest, and then of course it turns into a hilarious little bit of retribution when he's at a party later and she turns out to be one of the dancing girls, and it goes from there. I love this movie so much, and I think their meet cute is one of my favorites, so I had to make sure it was included.
That is a terrific choice, and I actually struggle a little bit. There were a couple that was on my list as an alternative. Had you gotten to one of these other ones, I'm relieved to say that I made it through all 3 completely unscathed.
Well,
that delights.
I have a feeling I know what your next one's going to be, but I'm really curious, so I'm excited to see.
I almost want to say it at the same time, like count to 3 and say it and see if you're right.
Well, don't, because if you don't say it, I'm going to do it.
You're saying it? Well, mine is definitely a much more recent movie, and it's a movie that, I started talking about this whole idea of what we were doing with my wife, and this is also the first movie that she thought of. And of course, she couldn't remember the name of it, but that's table stakes at our house. So it is a wonderful movie, and I love it so much because it makes me, it allows me to go back to my youth, to high school, to feeling like this, and to have such a message and have no idea how to get it out. And this movie actually, our protagonist and his friends actually, they get it out, and it's wonderful. It is 2016's Sing Street, the meet cute between Connor and Rafina, where he has to cross the street and ask her why she's not in school. Well, I'm a model. Dude, I'm in a band. If you're in a band, sing me a song. And he proceeds to butcher Take On Me right there on the street. It is so beautiful and charming, and their relationship is lovely. And of the John Carney music movies, this one is absolutely number 1 on my list. I am deeply moved by this movie every time I watch it. So Sing Street.
That's a brilliant choice.
Right?
It was not what I was going to say, which is exciting because now I get to say this other one. And I'll be honest, I have a very long list of meet cutes because there are so many. Yeah. But this one, I think it works so well because it's not a romantic comedy. There's romance in the movie. There's comedy in the movie, but it's not. That's not what the film is. It is largely a kind of a crime film. And there's it's about this bank robber who breaks out of jail, and he kidnaps a U.S. Marshal on the way out, and they have a fantastic meet cute in the trunk of a car lit by the red light inside the trunk. It is, of course, Steven Soderbergh's 1998 movie, Out of Sight. George Clooney, Jennifer Lopez. I love the way these characters meet, and I love the way their romance and relationship unfolds over the course of the film. Because it's not it's not that romantic sort of movie, but the scene is one of the most romantic, beautiful scenes done. I just love it so much. So that's my final pick, Out of Sight.
Yeah, I was convinced. Another alternate on my list.
This is totally on Pete's list.
It was definitely on the list, but they didn't, they didn't sing adorably and make music videos in Out of Sight. That would have.
If they had, that's right.
Do
you have any?
And
go ahead.
Well, I have one bonus that I didn't say, but I have to actually, of the list, I've got a number of them on the list, but there's only one that I want to say as my bonus pick. And that is for you and for Steve, the Memorial Woody Allen pick, and that's Annie Hall.
Oh, of course. That was
because she's adorable.
Yeah. Oh no, that was one of mine. I had also, Sleepless in Seattle, of course, Bridesmaids, Bringing Up Baby, 50 First Dates, The Big Sick, Before Sunrise. Just so many good options.
Oh God, Bridesmaids. Bridesmaids is Kristen Wiig is unbelievable.
Oh, she's great.
She's so funny.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's a good list. But what connects what do you love about Meet Cutes? Did you figure that out? What is it that specifically connects to you on a Meet Cute that's done well?
I think it's feeling that spark. I think that's what it is. Like, whether it's like splashing orange juice on somebody or kidnapping somebody, whatever it is, feeling like there's that connection, and where I feel like I'm part of that connection in a way where there's kind of that kind of, I don't know, just, there's that bond there. And I don't know. I really like Meet Cutes, and I think it's a great way to kind of introduce characters, especially when they're going to be, struggling against that love that they found right at that initial spark. So, and that's generally, I think, what it is. You have the Meet Cute.
Yeah.
There's that, you can sense the spark, but they fight it for the duration of the film,
Yeah, right.
Or at least one of them does.
Well, it's a good list. This is a good list of 6 lovely and romantic movies, and I don't think you can go wrong with a single one of them. What do we have coming up this week?
We're looking at the 1976 version of A Star is Born, and there's definitely some differences with this one. So we could do car crashes. That's something we could certainly throw in there. We could do froze, big froze.
Movies where Gary Busey plays ironically sober.
Is he sober? Was he also snorting the coke when he's...
Yeah, I think he was. Yeah. But he was like the straight man.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I have a feeling that's a short list. And just...
Right. Okay, I actually like car crashes. I think car crashes would be great.
Yeah, that should be an easy one.
Get that on the list. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, this one's rock stars. We could do rock stars. There's a shift from kind of the actors, which we had in the first 2 A Star is Borns. Now we're making a shift to singers. So that's been kind of that's really kind of the biggest shift in the way that these next 2 A Star is Borns are presented, is the fact that now we're looking at musicians.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I was thinking, I was trying to pivot that around something to do with like movies with, big concerts without saying concert movies. But I think that's the better way to do it. It's just, great rock star movies.
Yeah.
That aren't music movies,
Or biopics. Maybe we should cut biopics, like rock star movies that aren't biopics.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, okay.
Best weird homes in the desert? No. And
films set in Arizona.
Films set in Arizona. Mentions of Arizona. Best cheating spouse movies. Adulterous relationships. Like, what's the opposite of the meet cute? You know what I mean?
Well, it certainly is something that we put on the list last week, self-destruction, or relationship destruction, I guess you could almost call it.
Relationship destruction. Did we put that on the list last week?
You put self-destruction on the list. Yeah, vomiting, the meet cute, and self-destruction were on the list last week.
That's right. I remember that. Vomiting. What were we thinking?
I'm glad some people voted for that.
Me too. I like the. I think we lean in on the opposite of meet cute, and we go this time with
relationship destruction.
Relationship destruction.
Okay, so there we go.
And I'm going to focus on the best movies where we have the best discovery of adultery. That's. I think that's the one.
So we've got car crashes, movies about rock stars that aren't biopics, and relationship destruction.
Outstanding.
I think it's a
great
good list.
Set.
Yeah,
me too. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, it's up there,
All
everybody. So get your votes in, and we will later in the week reveal what we're going to be talking about. I'm looking forward to finding out what everybody wants to hear us go on and on about.
Me too. What's the first thing you're going to see when you leave this show?
I don't know. Maybe Dumbo. I don't know. We'll see. I have no idea what I'm going to get to go out and watch.
Me too. It's a roll of the
I'll
dice.
tell you what I'm going to be
tomorrow.
watching is minutes of Iron Man.
Yeah, minutes of Iron Man and minutes of
Mad Max Fury Road.
Mad
We're going to be
Max,
guesting on the
yeah.
Mad Max Fury Road show. I'm excited about that.
Are they recording as far ahead as we record?
Well, it just started releasing this past week or last week, so it's they're somewhere between 5 and 10 episodes in, and we're recording. 3 to 6 because they're only doing 3 shows a week. And we are on minutes 55, 56, 57. So, yes, they are.
Yeah. So it'll be many moons before Andy and I are on that show, but we're recording it today.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something.
Looking forward to that. Little
All
chat
right.
about some of the Fury Road minutes, and we'll make sure to let everybody know when it goes live so you can tune in.
Right. All right.
Cool.
Thanks, Andy. Good day.
Indeed.
Have a fantastic movie weekend.
Same to you, and thanks to all of our wonderful Patreon supporters out there. We appreciate you.
Have a good weekend, everybody.